Hey, it's me. This is a little different video. I was inspired by myself from my own youthful energy and enthusiasm and imagination back during May the 4th be with you when I did my Star Wars video and showed you my drawings from when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, drawing my favorite Star Wars characters back then in that style. There were some characters I left out. Why would I do that? There's so many of them. So, I'm going to right that wrong and start including some of those characters that I left out as a kid, even obscure ones, because as many of you back in the day, you had the action figures. And there were some characters there that maybe had like a second screen time, but they were an action figure and you played with them. And you created stories around them. So some of those are going to be in here. And we're going to start off with a very special one. I had two guys from the Cantina from Mos Eisley, Greedo and Hammerhead, as they were dubbed as action figures. But there were two more notable guys from the Cantina back then. And I'm going to do a little video of me drawing one of them. His name is Snaggletooth. That's the name he went by. He has a real name according to Star Wars canon, but we'll get into that as I draw. And yes, it's going to be drawing on paper. I wanted to keep it in the same style I did back then on paper. I'm not going to draw in blue pen. So I'm going to do some pencil, some artist pens, and not just markers or anything. These are artist pens. As you'll see, they can get very fine details. There's so many varieties of these artist pens, which really help. And then I'm going to color them in colored pencil, just like I did back then. With the skills I have now, I'm not going to try and emulate what I did back then. That was how I drew back then. And I want to pay a fitting homage to these forgotten Star Wars characters I left out. So, let's get drawing. Here we go. You are finally seeing me draw for the first time with pencil on paper, on video. Lots of uses of the word on in that sentence, don't you think? But like I said, I wanted to keep it in the same medium as my Star Wars drawings were back in the 70s/80s when I was a young buck, crazily inspired by this movie. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen, with so many exciting characters. And then they released this action figures from Kenner. And a lot of you may or may not know this, that the characters were not available when the movie came out. Not until a year later. There was this promise, a card that showed a picture of all of them, and a promise that you would get them next year. It seems odd to me because in my mind, I thought they were there the movie came out, but I had to wait a whole year. But Star Wars Mania was hot, as always, back then, and it didn't matter. We waited patiently, I guess. Saw the movie a few times, and then started scooping up some action figures. Boy, oh boy, I wish I had known about that. I would have scooped up dozens and left them in the box. Just imagine the resale value to this day. We didn't know. We wanted to play with them. So, Snaggletooth. That's what he was labeled back then. This little gray guy in a red jumpsuit. Who is he? And the photo they showed was this kind of tan brown creature with the little tooth, but his eyes were dark. Here his eyes were red with little white dots. I don't care. Like, I guess he was this guy in the cantina. If you blink, you'll miss him. But they made an action figure out of him. Now, originally, when they promised to offer some characters, they had 4 for the cantina scene. Greedo, Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, and Walrus Man. And now Snaggletooth was a taller dude in a blue jumpsuit with silver boots. From what I heard, that Kenner only had some conceptual drawings from the production, so they didn't actually see footage. And somehow, some way, I think they saw Snaggletooth dressed this way. And so they made him in the blue outfit with the silver boots. I don't know. But then they wisely nixed that, and then he was available to buy as a single action figure in his little red jumpsuit with his hairy little gray feet exposed with little claws showing at the ends. He came with a little blaster, and there he was. Now that was a very cute name, but his name, according to what I've looked up, is Zutton. So that's either Zutton or Zutton. Zutton like futon or Zutton like button. And he is a Snivian. If I'm doing that right, that's what I'm reading. He's a Snivian. That's the name of his race. Okay. And again, he really doesn't have much going on in the movie. Just that little cameo. But here I took inspiration from the action figure, because that's how I know him. Looked at some images and then just started drawing this. As you can see, kind of just made some shapes and then drew around him in the pencil and just kind of filled in everything. There's something about pencil to paper. Look at all the freedom you have to just play around with lines and just lightly draw some stuff and go back and forth. Just giving him little shape and little character. You know, I don't want to have him in the same pose as the action figure, because he was just, the knees didn't bend, but the legs did, and the arms bent, and the head turned. That was about it. There really wasn't much waist movement with those characters. But here I am with my artist pens now. Finished the pencil. I'm going to ink over them with these artist pens. What are these? Well, you have to go to an arts and crafts store to find them. There's different sizes, but man, oh man, there's a world of difference compared to using a ballpoint pen, which I did in my original drawings. You can really play around with pressure and detail and take your time, because they have fine points, as I'm using here, bold for really dark stuff, super fine. If you really want to get into some great details. So yeah, I'm not doing this exactly like I did as a kid. If I had these, well, my drawings would probably still be the same. So glad I found these. I don't know how I discovered artist pens, but this is the way I wanted to do it. Just go over the pencil work. There's his little Snaggletooth. He only had one. I was looking at pictures of the action figure, and he just had one. I thought he had two, but maybe it's the Mandela effect. I played with the character and assumed he had two, but what's his name? Snaggleteeth? No, it's Snaggletooth. So he just had one tooth. Ha ha ha. This is a cute little jumpsuit design. I don't know how they came up with this. Now, in the movie, he does have kind of a reddish suit, but his hair is kind of unkempt. His fur, I should say. Even his hair on his head, but his fur is just kind of little, kind of fluffed out a bit. Not as, like, finely shaped on him. Well, even look at the Chewbacca action figure. You know, this was all plastic. There was no fur. They had to mold everything and do it the best they could. They had to give all of them some kind of weapons, right? They just gave them a little blaster. And see, I like to go over the lines a little bit. It's just not like filling them in. Unfortunately, I haven't used these pens in a long time. And unfortunately, it looks like they're drying out. So as I'm drawing this with a fine point, I kind of realize it's not holding the ink. And I move on to, I think, the medium pen, which holds a little more ink. Can't really tell. But so you just go a little bit here, a little bit there. It's good to try different mediums. You've seen most of my stuff digitally, only because it's a lot easier to do that than this, video-wise. I can just record my screen, which is so much more convenient. But for this, I wanted to take the plunge and have you see me do it in pencil and pen. And follow along with little Snaggletooth. Yeah, I got him just at the edge of the page. Didn't really think of the composition of that drawing as I was doing him, but that's okay. There he goes. Little toes, 4 little toes. Now, when I played with Snaggletooth, I made him a rebel. Him and Hammerhead. They just seemed like the nicest alien guys from the cantina, so I made them part of the Rebel Alliance, so they got to fight along Luke, Leia, and Han, and Chewie, and be their allies. I mean, we always know Greedo, for some reason he's still alive. There's another Greedo. And Walrus Man, he has another name too, but I'm thinking I'm going to make him the next sketch, because I didn't draw him in my little sketches from the 70s. Look at that. You can really get fine lines, take your time, and just have fun with this. It was a joy to use these tools again, especially the artist pens. Even though the ink is kind of going out, they move so smoothly. Get yourself some. You've been drawing with ballpoint pen and you try these, you will never use ballpoint pen again, unless maybe you're someplace and you're doodling and you don't have them with you, or writing something like, oh no, I want to draw something. But for these purposes, use an artist pen, or 2 or 3 or 4. I think I used 3 kinds. I did the bold one for Snaggle's hair and belt, and some of the blaster. This weird emblem on his belt. It almost looks like a bird. I don't know who designed this emblem. But there he is, showing off his belt and these little, it almost seems like a flight suit. These little notches he's got in there. See, you could go back and forth. I know, crazy to draw all this stuff too in between doing my other videos, but you know what? Why not? It's fun. Hope you're having fun doing this, following along with a little Snaggletooth here. He was a fun guy. I don't know what kind of voice I gave him. I just know I made him a rebel. He's one of the good guys. And he went on many adventures when I played with my toys. Yep, one more side. Just gonna draw that line and all the other little lines. I don't know, magic of pen to paper. You just feel this connection. It's so kinetic. Yeah, if you go outside the lines, you can't erase. You just gotta hang in there. And it's fun, though. Fun. You could just... Now, my little details, my little shading. And just a little something. Try to kind of show off the fur on him. Some details, some wrinkles in the costume. Or outfit. I think this one I draw a little more. Just some shading on the laser pistol. And now the erasing. Speed this baby up. No reason to... Just got to let the ink dry a little bit, of course. Then you can start erasing. I'm using a gum eraser. Those things are invaluable. I think I've had a gum eraser for years, and look, it still works beautifully. It's always good to have something like that. Don't try that eraser from the pencil. Sometimes they'll leave streaks and marks. So stick with something like a gum eraser. You can cover a lot more ground. Yeah, nice and clean there, Mr. Snaggles. Now we're going to use colored pencils. Have a whole bag full of them. I don't know what brand, whatever brand tickles your fancy. I think someone gave them to me. Looks funny going fast. And here I just really use whatever reds are available to me. And I don't really add any super details or shading. I'm just going to keep it just simple colors like I did back in the day. I'm not quite sure how I discovered colored pencils. Maybe a relative or some friend, I don't know. When I saw those, I'm like, forget crayons. This is the way to go, man. So much better, and I think it's neater. Crayons are a very important tool. Here, I didn't realize I should have sharpened my pencils before I started doing this. This one was starting to wear out. Like, oh no. I'm going to put this like as flat to its edge as possible to get as much in here. So I'm really going for some long color strokes here before I switch pencils. There we go. So I went to another red. I don't know what color reds I use, but I think the colored pencil box I have only had 2. And none of them just said red. I think there was like North red, dark red, light red, big red. So I just use that to cover up and add a little more to his stripes. As you can see. Yeah, I wanted to speed this up. No reason to. You get the idea. We're just coloring. Hey, if you ever need to pause the video, you can if you want to catch up. Here's his eyes. His eyes are the same red as his outfit. That's right. As are his little claws down there. Yeah. And his mouth. That's right. His mouth had the red. And now his gray fur on his hands, face, and feet. Like I said, if you need to pause, you can. Always come back to this. Didn't really want to have the need to do this in real time. Although in real time, it didn't take me long to draw this. And this is just goes based on looking at images of this guy as an action figure. There you are. Just a few more grays. I think I switched gray pencils too to give a little more detail. Just kind of filled in some spots. Added a little shading here and there. Any of those spots that I have lines on, I just kind of emphasized them and then took this dark gray. That's when I filled in some spots here. And I used it on his hair. Eventually. Yeah, this I just used to fill in some details on his face. Add a little depth. And then some stuff to his blaster. Alright, maybe I'm wrong. This must be just all his fur. The pencil almost looks like it's blue. Just doing a little erasing. Yes, I know. I used the pencil eraser, but that was just for something that was off to the side. See here, just add a little more. Just a little bit more. I don't think I added any more shading to his red jumpsuit there. There you go. Just a little more. Bring him into the modern age. Almost 50 years later. That's scary to think. Alright, now we switch to this pencil. I think it was a darker gray. For his hair, his little neck, his collar, and then the belt. And then the blaster. There we go. I know the blaster was like a blue, but I'm just going to keep it gray. And there, that should do it. Oh, I added a little nail polish. I think I used a darker red for that, just to emphasize things. Well, there you go. Our first pencil sketch turned ink and colored pencil of one of my Star Wars characters I never got to draw when I was a young lad. So here we had Snaggletooth. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had fun going down this trip on memory lane with a cute Star Wars character. And I'll see you in the next video on the artist always known as Alejandro. Keep creating.